Welcome to Single Tree Nation. I'm your man, Charlie Eblin, the host and owner of Single Tree Woodfire Barbecue. We are here to build community through undeniable hospitality, storytelling, and the perfect plate of barbecue. Welcome back to Single Tree Nation, guys. I'm your man, Charlie Eblin. And as always, our illustrious co-host, Mr. Derry Wells.
What is up, everybody? If I jump up and start dancing like a leprechaun, that's what's running through my head right now. This is awful. Like I'm distracted.
Take two. Take two. We have a great show for you today. I have been stalking our guest for a couple of years now, Mr. Douglas Keane from the Cyrus restaurant. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you for the second time today. It's we are technology driven folks around.
Yes, we are.
I'm as challenged as the other side there, so we can blame me if you want.
No. I'll blame myself. It's all right. Doug, look, I appreciate you joining us today. Why don't you tell us who you are and what you do, and we'll get cracking on the show.
I'm a guy from Dearborn, Michigan. Grew up there, fell in love with cooking at a pretty young age through my mom and through actually a nun in Catholic school who taught foods, and then found my way through a mentor to Cornell University to study hotel administration, but always had a love for cooking and pretty much took my way through school. Even tried to leave at one point until the professors talked me out of that and said, just when you graduate, get your degree, go down to New York City and get the shit kicked out of you and yelled at. And so that's what I did. And then I landed at the Four Seasons restaurant where I had absolutely no business being. I couldn't move fast. I couldn't cook, but they took me in like a little brother and taught me how to actually cook. And I stayed there for a number of years and then bounced around to a couple of really great places. And I got finishing school at a place called L'Espinasse that was like the 4-star Mecca that I'd always wanted to. I'd eaten there and realized that if I didn't go work for that guy, I should actually quit cooking because he was that good. It was all intense. It was the food was amazing. The atmosphere wasn't great, but I wouldn't change a minute of my time in New York City. It made me who I was, actually.
It's I'm sure it was a full-on boot camp of how to work in a restaurant, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was good parts of it. You know, there was intensity about speed and moving quick, and that testosterone was good. It was, and what kind of also drew me to this was not just like the love of making people happy, but it was like that sports feeling, like you're on a team, and you're all striving for something. It's what addicted me to it in the beginning. It's kind of what maybe broke me towards the end, or for a little while ago. But it was like that energy that was addicting that I loved, and that working with a whole team and getting something accomplished, which was fun. But there was times in New York City, yeah, that were like when I was at Picholine, where I got screamed at for not accepting a job and chased out of the kitchen and told I'd be 40 fucking years old and how to cook a fucking thing. I won a James Beard Award at like 39. So I was like, I got you beat, man. I actually did know how to cook a thing by the time I was 40. Just made it though. But it was good. It was all great. And I actually think every young cook should end up in Manhattan a little bit. But yeah, it's a little bit like the TV shows. There's screaming intensity, there's fighting, but it doesn't need to be that way. It is, in my opinion, the energy level that we ride on that little razor wire, like we walk this line that it's like, if you're not in the shits, if you're not in the weeds, you're not doing your job right. And I don't think that's the way to think about it. It took me, and that's what I did for a number of years, and including my own screaming at times. But it was a lack of engineering and a lack of planning that I think gets you there. If you actually engineer it. Once I went to Japan and saw these amazing kaiseki meals with these people putting out this food that just blew my mind. There was no stress in the kitchen, at least visible stress. And there was like this quiet, it was calm, it was quiet. It was like, wow. I came back and actually tried to implement some of that after my month in Japan. And it was really hard to change the culture of my 7-year restaurant already. So when I got a chance to redo this after a 10-year break, I was like, I'm going to set the culture in the way that I think I want it to be, so that it's not like we actually have time to do stuff. And what we were also missing, I always thought, was an interaction and connection with the guests. We're in the back, we're cooking, we're sweating, we're working our butts off. and we like making food for people. Like at least most of us do. Like that's why we got into it. We want to nourish people, but you never actually see that. You don't get that connection like when you cook at home and you get to see someone eat it. So I brought the people into the kitchen more and brought the cooks out to the guests more. So that there's a constant. It's just like you're at our house. And it's fancier. It's a little bit more refined. Yeah, there's tweezers and microgreens on food, but we actually get to talk to the guests and they get to see our face and we get to see them. Like I've had cooks drop off the risotto because part of our model is that everyone does everything. So if there's no runner, the cooks are trained how to run in the clear. And if there's no runner, the guy who made the risotto is right there. Well, there's not a better person to run it to the guest. But also what I didn't expect was when they put it down and they see the guest's face, either describe it or see the visualness or take the first bite, they come back with a sense of pride. Chef, you should have seen their face when I put my risotto down. It was like, so like that's what I think was missing. And what I kind of, I was on the treadmill for a long time. I've done this since I graduated college in 93 and I went right down and started working. And when you're on the treadmill, it's hard to kind of see the clarity. And so to take a step off, like the gift of we tried really hard to get this restaurant open for 10 years while we closed the first one. And a number of things happened that I document in the book, and the last being COVID in the last year and a half. But there was a whole bunch of things before that. But like, once you're off the treadmill, you can actually have a little bit of clarity and think things through. Like basically we said, what's wrong with this industry? What's everything we think is wrong with the industry, from the disparity of pay, from the stress levels, from the mental health, to the always working 5 days and 12, 13 hours, to the noise and in the kitchens when you come home and you can't hear. All those things is what we took into effect, from design to engineering of the experience to engineering of the business plan. And it was a great gift.
It's incredible, man. You highlighted there that you took a 10-year break. So
forced.
What did you do for 10 years while you were trying to get your restaurant reopened?
I had dinner at home 3 times, which was great. On a Friday. It was decadent.
That's incredible.
It was decadent, man. Friday night, like, this is what you people do, huh? I had
keep it simple, like though. Did you like scale it back, like almost pizza, but not quite?
grilled asparagus, grilled steak, chopped tomatoes in the summer, like,
this,
and then throw the potatoes on the grill too. Like I don't want to clean any dishes.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually just started grilling like during that 10-year break. I never really grilled before. So like I had this idea about like a cookbook called a 1-pan pickup, where you're just doing 1 pan for everything.
Yeah.
And then I was like, fuck that. I'm going to do a grill cookbook, man. Everything on the grill. You don't even have to clean that baby. You just let it fire a little bit longer. It cleans itself.
Yeah. Why do you think I do barbecue?
I can, what?
That's why I do barbecue. You just smoke everything.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Smoke it.
No, it's great. And when you're done, you're done. When you sell it all, you're done.
Yeah, it's it. It's going to take you 12 hours to cook it again, so you're done. Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful.
I consulted for a number of restaurants in Napa. I opened up a few. I had a bar and grill in town that I'm no longer a part of. I helped a friend in DC open a few restaurants. I did a season of Top Chef Masters. I wrote most of my book and then finished it once we got Cyrus reopened, Culinary Leverage. And then I pretty much 50% of my time was working on relaunching this restaurant. It ran into a number of obstacles, from investors to bad timings to zoning to and then at the end, when I finally found this perfect location, then this little thing called COVID smacked me in the face about 6 weeks after I signed the lease and raised a bunch of money.
Yeah, that was a fun time for everybody, wasn't it?
That was good shit, wasn't it?
The number of people that we've had as guests who are in hospitality who say, I was about to open or had just opened and COVID. And the beautiful part is, for everything that we heard negatively in the world, so many folks like yourself and others like made it through. Like they were determined that this isn't going to be the stumbling block. This isn't going to be the thing. And for a lot of folks, I feel like it kind of added to that drive that nothing else has stopped me. This isn't going to stop me either. So
I feel like as an entrepreneur, though, most entrepreneurs, and please tell me if you think I'm wrong, but we're really, really good at pivoting. Something happens, roadblock comes up. Okay, left, right? Okay, we'll just go this way. And then we'll figure out how to go back the other way if we need to. If not, we'll just keep going down this road. And then even that, as chefs and kitchen folks and just people that lead, they figure out a way, whether it's to go over the hurdle, under the hurdle, around the hurdle, through the wall, blow the wall up, whatever. We try to we figure those things out. And then some of it, I think, is just pure unadulterated determination.
Right.
Like there's no other option. I was listening to a song the other day, and the title of this song is called Options. And there is no option other than success. If I fail, then I'm homeless. My wife and kids don't have a place to live. We don't have food to eat. I don't have a choice but to be successful. And now how you define success is totally up to you.
Right.
Whether do you have a full big bag of money and drive in a Lambo, or you have a restaurant that operates and you can pay your mortgage every day. I find that very successful and very fulfilling, that I get to impact my community and my wife and kids have a place to live. Right. Some people want to be able to go out on their yachts. I'm good with eating pizza and hanging out with my wife and watching Netflix Happy Gilmore, like, I mean,
No, I think that's really accurate description of entrepreneurs, and also in particular restaurant people. I think we figure out, I mean, I honestly, I think restaurant people could be great politicians because they actually get shit done. They're like, what needs to get fixed, instead of playing all the games, and they get stuff done. I as you were saying, like how we work around, we get determination. And there's a point, I hit a really, really low point with that, because I basically broke when COVID finally hit. And I had signed the lease, and then it was a really good time, and we were raising money like crazy. Like people were writing me checks. And then all of a sudden COVID hit, and I lost half the money that was promised to us. I had some of it in the bank, half of the money was gone. And then it wasn't their fault. I get it, man. It was like the worst place to put money was like a restaurant, right? It was just a reality. And so I hit a really, really low point. And I actually document it pretty detail oriented in my book, about it, because it kind of shows I did give up at one point because I just had taken too many lumps. And if it weren't for the sure luck of really good people who believed in me, I'm not actually sure where I would be. And so I'm forever grateful for people making that dream and giving me their money and saying, hey, we believe in this thing that this crazy idea that you're doing with your staffing model and the concept of moving people around. My investors believed in me more than I did at many point in time, to the point where when we were a couple $1,000,000 short, and my kitchen contractor was saying, we got to order the equipment, otherwise you're never going to get this stuff because of COVID backlogs and all that stuff. And I was like, I don't know what to do, because I had the money for that, but I didn't have the money to do construction. And I basically said to the investors, like, what do you want me to do? Like, they're like, order it, you're going to get over the hurdle line. And I'm like, if not, we're going to be selling some really brand new stoves on the street at some point, like for 10 cents on the flipping dollar. And they were like, go, man, go, don't stop. And we didn't. And if it wasn't for those guys, I really don't know where I'd be. Like, homeless is a point, I could have been.
Let's take a quick break, and we're going to come right back. And I want to dive into your TV experience.
All right.
And then I also want to dive into your concept as a whole. There's a lot of our audience would love to hear what your thought process is and how you set up your restaurant from a labor and food model. So let's take a fast break. We'll come right back and talk about those things.
You got it.
She was about to sign. The payments looked fine until I ran the numbers. They were overcharging her by $5,412. One call later, we flipped the script. Better price, lower rate, $5,000 saved. This happens every week. Before you sign, call me. The 615negotiator.com. I find what they don't want you to see.
All right. right, welcome back, guys. I'm your man, Charlie Eblin. As always, our illustrious co-host, Mr. Derry Wells, is with us on today's episode with Mr. Douglas Keane from the Cyrus restaurant. We've talked about a lot already in our second go around, but you mentioned earlier in your 10-year break that you were on a TV show. Tell me, how do you go from being a restaurateur, you're doing your thing, your restaurant's going great, that hits a wall, you got to pivot, now you're doing some consulting, and then now you're on Top Chef?
Yeah, Top Chef Masters. It was season 5, and they had asked me to try to do it every year. But like one of the requirements is you almost have to commit to a month unless you're gonna throw it and get out the first day, and then you're there for like 2 days, and that actually works. But I couldn't imagine. I mean, I worked service every night, and we were 5 nights.
Did people actually throw the first night?
No, no. I don't think anyone. Well, I don't think so, but it would have been a way to get on and go, like burn my scalp or whatever. No one wants to be the first one to go.
Right.
And so they had asked me, and then it was finally Cyrus had closed, and they asked again, and again, it wasn't my style of cooking. Like I'm a very thought out. Like it takes me a month to change a dish. I don't just go into the refrigerator and say, hey, we're putting something on tonight. Like we charge way too much for that. So it was a little bit out of my comfort zone. But it was for charity. And I had just started my dog rescue, Green Dog Rescue. And it was fledgling. And it was like, wow, this would be pretty cool. And to have a charity to play for. And I had time, and everyone told me it was like the best exposure you could ever have. Because TV just is the stuff that keeps giving as far as PR. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go do this. And I did. I hated it for the first couple of days. I almost like walked off because I was just miserable. My ego couldn't handle being judged by like celebrities and the comments. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, no, that is good. What are you talking about? Like I couldn't get over myself. And I finally just realized, like, take a deep breath. You're here. And the chefs were like, they were so much fun. Like we were laughing our asses off. It was like summer camp for immature chefs. It was the best. I mean, David Burke, I must have peed my pants 5 times listening to that guy just tell his stories about cooking in the 80s in Manhattan, and saying you and I had a blast. Neil Fraser. There were so many great people. So I started to relax into that and be like, I don't care what happens. I'm just going to have fun. And like, it kind of started to turn around, and I started to like win some stuff and figured it out. And I really didn't care. And it was the best time. And I won $120,000 for the dog charity. And the money was great. But what it actually did was like, we went from having like 5 volunteers and 20 dogs to like 200 volunteers and being able to help like 1,000 dogs. And it was pretty amazing.
That's outstanding.
So that was great.
So the reason I bring it up is for the people that I've met in my life that have been on shows like that or have been on TV. There's hundreds of thousands of other people that want to be on those shows, right? And somebody not too long ago told me, if you want to be on one of those shows and you own a restaurant or you're a cook or you're a chef, then make sure that your food, your restaurant is better than everybody else's, and you'll get on one of those shows. If you're trying to just get on one of those shows and what you're doing currently isn't good enough, then you're not going to get on one of those shows. Do you find that to be true?
I don't have enough experience to say what they look for. I get calls. I got asked a lot, but we were pretty high profile, right? And it was Masters, right? It was totally Top Chef Masters. We got a few dogs going here. Sorry about that. I'll get them out of here in a second. But I don't know what they always look for. I think they are looking for talent. They're looking for people who fit a role. Sometimes I get calls all the time asking me to recommend people. And so I don't know if you like, there's a lot of bad food out there. There's a lot of great food out there.
Right.
And there's a lot of shitty television, a lot of good television.
That's the truth.
Amen to that.
When you said at one point on the show, you're turning in your dish or whatever, and they wear you out. They critique it, whatever this, and you're like, I know that's good. But then you step back and you realize, wait, this is 10, 12 people who are at the top of their game as well. And it starts to be that thing where you have to pick out the one bad thing. Do you start critiquing yourself as you're about to turn it in? Like, ooh, what about this one part? Because you said it takes you a month to even change your menu. And I've looked at your menu, and your menu looks like, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's perfect the way it is. It's hard for me to even think that you would critique it and then still do something different.
I'm always looking at the food, seeing how I can make it better. And in a show like that, it comes down to like seasoning usually, unless you really screw something up. But it's usually like just seasoning, finishing with a little acid, a little salt, just to make sure you tasted it. Like we can all cook, right? We wouldn't be there if we couldn't cook,
right?
And also it could also be the choice of ingredients. Like I can't run because of a brain tumor I had a long time ago, so my leg drags. So I wasn't gonna race anyone to the table to grab the best ingredient. So I decided like I'm gonna go set up my station. And I'm gonna go back there, and whatever's left, I'm gonna cook, and because otherwise, I'm gonna end up with that anyway. So I'm gonna have a little less stress. So like, yeah, someone got caviar, and I didn't. Maybe they'd have a better dish. Maybe who knows? But it was more about there was all good food there. But I realized that like it was ego is what I had to get over. It was ego. I had to be like, first of all, there's some judges that were awesome, judges that were talented, Gail Simmons, Ruth Reichel. There was people who knew what they were talking about, but then they would bring in like these celebrities to kind of, it's a show. So they wanted people to watch it. And they bring in these celebrities who didn't know anything about food. And they would comment like, well, that's not a curry. And I'm like, well, the task was to deconstruct the curry and reinvent it. And I did, to the point where every other chef on there was like, holy shit, that's so good. What did you do? And this guy's telling me what a curry is, and I can't shut my mouth. I'm like, well, you don't even know what a curry is. And my co-contestant Brian's just smacking me like, dude, shut up. Like, stop. And I can't. I can't. And I finally realized, all right, man, you got to get over yourself, buddy, and just relax and let him go and just have fun with it. Like, okay, it's not a curry. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, it was really getting over myself because all the food was pretty good.
I can't imagine that even the person that went home after day one was not a very talented chef.
No, they were all great. They were all there for a reason, and we're just thankful Herb checked out first because none of us wanted to be the first one to go. we're all okay being number two. We toasted her wife. Thank you, Herb.
So at the end of the day, it comes down to you and one other contestant.
There was three people in the finale. It was Jen Jasinski, Brian Voltaggio, and myself in the finale. And we cooked the tasting menu. And yeah. And
then you ended up taking it home. Won the entire show.
Yes.
What was the final dish that slam dunked it for you?
It was a 4-course menu of my food. We had a bunch of time to do it. There was 2 things I did that they commented on. There was a soup Billy B. It was basically one of the first things we ever learned how to cook. And mine was steamed mussels and fries, right? And I learned at a bar and grill is steamed mussels and white wine. But I transported that into a soup called Billy B. That was one of my favorite soups. It's a classic mussel and saffron soup and a super intense. And I just put that out just like that because I knew how good it was. And either Ruth Reichel was just like, I just had a bite of heaven. And then I did a soba wrapped salmon with a ginger shiso dashi that was, reflective of my food at the time. And that one was pretty finessed. I think those are the ones that kind of put it over. There was 2 other courses. There was a duck dish and then a dessert that I did as well that they liked. But I think those were the 2 that really kind of nailed it home. I mean, the other food was great. I mean, Jen's food was awesome. Brian's food was awesome. Like they asked me in the beginning, they're like, in the very first day, they're like, why do you think you're going to win this? And I'm like, I don't. I'm like, I got no chance.
Honesty is your friend there. So just be realistic.
Wade was my producer who was with me in the hotel room doing the shoot. That's who I was with. He's like, okay, we're going to retake that. He goes, we need a different answer. And I'm like, I don't know, Wade. And I'm like, I don't think I'm going to. Like, he's like, yeah, you got to give me a reason. So I was like, luck of the Irish. Like that's it, man. Like that's all I got for you, Wade. So, but and then he said he put a bet on me. Yeah, he put cash on me. He said.
Oh, come on.
After
that, stuff going on.
Outstanding. Now, are any of those dishes on your current menu at Cyrus?
I always have actually no, technically no. I always have Billy B in the at my disposal because I've done it for so long, the soup, the mussel soup. And sometimes people will come in and be like, "Oh, I thought you were gonna have that mussel soup again." And so we have it, we can prepare it pretty fast. And so I surprise them with it in the dining room and it goes even further. So we show up with it after they leave the kitchen and they're like, "Oh my God, thank you for bringing that." So that's something you can always kind of get. The dashi one, I've done versions of it, but it's not on the menu right now.
I love it. I love it. So let's dive a little bit into your your whole concept and what Cyrus is and how it's so much different than your typical, restaurant that most people would go to.
Yeah, it was two things that I wanted to change. From the guest perspective, I kept hearing about, the cool thing about cooking up here in Sonoma County in wine country is people give you a lot of time for dinner. Like they give you like 2 to 3 hours, and it's pretty cool because when I was in big cities, hour and a half, they got somewhere else to go. They're going to a show, they're going to a party, they've got something else going, and it's really fast. Up here, dinner's the entertainment for the night, and that's a gift. So the first Cyrus was a traditional tasting menu. You'd sit at the same table, and we did everything that we'd ever seen in our careers and put our little tweak on it. But what I would hear a lot, especially towards the end, was like, I hate sitting at the same table for 3 hours. I get stiff, my back gets sweaty. I want to get up and move, or like I can't keep focus. And I kept hearing that, right? And so from I started to think about what could I do, and two things happened. My favorite meals are in someone's home, where you go hang out on their front porch or their veranda outside and have a cocktail and a bite. Then you move into the kitchen while they cook and you help them and you look at them and talk to them. Then you go sit down in the dining room, and then something else also happened when I was in Kyoto. I was in a kaiseki restaurant and I was in a room, and you basically rent it for the whole night. I was on the scholarship, so we were in this for the whole night. They kept telling me about the other rooms in the building. It's like a 300-year-old building that the family had, and there's this cool bonsai upstairs and a tapestry in another room, but you don't get to see those because someone else rented them. And I'm like, why are you telling me about them if I can't see them? I'm like, whoa, like, wait, what if I could actually take you to each room? And that's kind of how it was born. So basically, we take 12 people at a time. We bring them into our Bubbles Lounge. We give them either that Billy B, or right now, because it's summer, we have a gazpacho consomme. They get a sip or a bite. They get a glass of champagne or martini or whatever they're drinking for the night. They get to decompress for about 15 minutes, take a look at the beautiful vineyard views. And then we move them into the kitchen for the second part of the journey. And then after about 45 minutes in there where they're talking with us, we're cooking right in front of them. They're sitting at a really cool kitchen table that's a U shape that watches the whole kitchen. Then they get to walk around the kitchen and grab the last couple bites in the kitchen. Then they move to the dining room to their own table. Like if you guys came together to be your party of two, you then have your own table. And then you're in the dining room for as long as you want. It's more of a traditional dining room feel, but you're looking out over the vines with a sense of place. And then we have this magic chocolate room at the end that you get to go through that you passed by, but that's kind of a surprise at the end. But the idea was to get you up every 45 minutes or so and move you so that your energy was there. And that was that's what I wanted to change about the guest experience. From the other side of it, the whole business model bothered me forever. The small profit margins, the disparity between front of house and back of house, the inefficiencies of the dishwashers being super busy for a while and then not busy, the cooks being super busy, then not busy, the waiters being super busy, not busy, and this inefficiency of like, why aren't people doing why can't we have everyone do each other's jobs and make more efficient use of this and pay them more? And then it was also things like my ears are messed up from listening to hoods my entire life, the roar of the hoods, right? My nose, I would come home from work and I couldn't breathe. Your nose is just stuffed up from the bad circulation of the air, the lighting, the floors, and so I looked at all of that stuff and I'm like, how can I change this stuff? But the most important was to change the idea that the front of house and back of house made a completely different amount of money. The first Cyrus, the captains made $80,000 to $100,000. The cooks barely made 30, and the captains would stay for 8 years. I couldn't get rid of them if I wanted to. The cooks every year would be gone because they were burnt out. I'm like, why can't you have a career here? And so we said, all right, we're going to figure out a way to do this where everyone gets above $75,000. And whatever tips are there after the end, we're going to figure out a way to pool them. And we're going to do this by cross training. So every cook knows every table number, knows how to clear water or pour water, knows how to clear and serve dishes, knows every description of the food. Likewise, all of the captains can help us prep. They can help us plate. And when there's big parties, they'll be on the line plating, stuff like that. And the idea is at some point they'll come into the kitchen. We just need probably a few more years to make that happen. But that way we can do a lot less. We can do a lot more with a lot less people. So instead of paying everyone really low wages, we can pay them. So we went at it backwards and said, how many people can we afford to pay? Well, it's 22 people. All right, that's what we're going to do. Then we started re-engineering stuff out of it. So I don't have tablecloths. We spent a lot of money on beautiful tabletops, and we spent some money on a beautiful big napkin so you don't lose that complete sense of luxury. But we don't have to put tablecloths in a special place. We don't have to replace them. We don't have to iron them. We don't have to have someone to change them during service when we want to flip a table. And then we did that with about 20 other things where I didn't think it mattered as much to the guest, but it was just things that you did. The first Cyrus had a candy cart where we had 20 candies on it. We made these little candies and we gave them away, and people would stuff their pockets with them, right? And I paid someone to make candies and wrap candies all day long. I paid someone to design this chocolate wall. It's 8 foot of flowing chocolate with 500 pounds of chocolate that you go in and throw a chocolate coin into, and we give you one beautiful piece of candy now. And more people remember that chocolate wall than anything. We had 12 breads at the first Cyrus, mini perfect little breads, and I paid 2 people to make breads for 16 hours a day. So they were always coming out of the oven hot during service. And we would throw half of it away because when you have a bread cart, it's always got to look generous. Mm-hmm. I decided to do 1 perfect bread or 2 at the most throughout the night where it has an impact. And no one, yes, people remember the first Cyrus's bread, but no one wants for bread at this point. And they're like, oh my God, that sriracha epi with your homemade butter is the best thing I've ever tasted. That gets just as much impact. So instead of someone baking bread all day, I have someone baking bread and doing a lot of pastry work. And so instead of someone making candies all day and wrapping them, I got someone who's an assistant pastry chef making candy bars, and we have a chocolate machine that runs on its own. And so there's a lot of things we did like that so that we could actually afford to pay people more. One of the goals was to have a 4-day work week. And we had no idea how to do that. It was just a lofty goal. So we opened up at 5 days and we did 3 seatings a night, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And one night, early on, like the first 2 months, we did a party of 12, an extra private dining room. And I made a joke like, hey, we should do this every night, like a 4 seating. And my pastry chef said, Chef, what if we did this 4 nights a week? And we could close for 3 days and give everyone 4 days off. And I'm like, whoa, that's actually more people than the 5 times the 3 seatings a night, if we can sell it. And I'm like, and it gives everyone the days off. And so what we did, my investors are like, that's great, you'll save 20% of labor. I'm like, no, that's not the point. That is not the point. The point is actually to pay everyone exactly the same and give them an extra day off so they can actually have a life. And that was probably the most important thing we've done to help set the culture here. Besides telling everyone what a different restaurant it was when we hired them and getting them to buy into the culture, that 4-day work week has changed people's lives. It's changed my life. And so those types of things, we have 3 weeks off a year. We just decided to close the restaurant. We closed for 2 weeks in January. So it's like 15 days with the days off. We closed for a week in the middle of summer when it's our busiest time, because I realized that like my chef, the other chef with me, Drew, who I've worked with since 1999, he never took a week off in the summer with his daughter while she was going through school. And because that was our busy time. And I was just like, that wears on you. Like that type of stuff, this industry breaks you. So I'm like, all right, we're closing for 4th of July week. Everyone's going to go party for 4th of July and have it off like a normal human being.
Best week.
And those are the types of things.
Well done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been great, man. Yeah. We leave some money on the table, but we're going to figure out how to pick up that money with an extra event or something like that.
That's outstanding. That is absolutely outstanding. It sounds like to me, and I've been thinking and talking a lot about this lately, is restaurateurs and chefs and owners and just the restaurant business in general. I really find that we really try to overcomplicate it. We always try to reinvent the wheel when it's really it's not that complicated. People want an experience when they go out to dinner. They want great food. They want undeniable hospitality. They want to understand and know the people that are preparing it. And you've done all of that.
You think we do that because of ego? Try to like reinvent it and make it better? Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hands down. Look. So prior to me doing my own business, I was a vice president for Bar Louie, and I had the entire Southeast and traveled 4, 5, 6 days a week, and never saw my wife and kids, and couldn't go to baseball games and all the things that we talk about in the restaurant business, right?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that I learned during my tenure there was right after the pandemic happened and everyone in the country closed down. We went from being a bar to now we can't open and sell booze. And so we have to take the menu we have and become a fast casual restaurant.
Wow.
and have third party delivery,
Yeah.
right? And have a pickup spot for people to walk in and get their food and then leave. And we took the 100 and something menu items and dropped it down to like, I think it was 12 or 15 items on the menu during the pandemic. And when we reopened, my market, being here in Tennessee, was one of the first markets in the company to reopen. So I rewrote the structure on how we were going to open as a company. And there were some hurdles and some things that we went back through and changed from when we actually opened. But the biggest thing we did was we left the menu with those 15 items on it, and we didn't go back to a full menu.
Yeah.
And what happened was once Tennessee got back to where they were fully open, we still had that same menu. And the crazy part about it was our sales increased.
Wow.
We had a 20% increase in revenue once we were back fully open with 15 menu items.
Well, it's that old
As
saying,
opposed to 100.
As opposed to 100.
less is more. You get 15 items, you get really good at those.
Yeah.
Instead of 100 average items. And you know, like you were saying, you spend a month on even tweaking a menu item. What you're rolling out is perfection. Like, I mean, like that's exactly where you want it. And your customers and your clients, they know what to expect when they come to your restaurant. I've looked at your website and looked at some stuff. The best part for me would just be the visual, like that all glass wall, just to look out over that and have a cocktail drink. Say less. I am all over
good.
that. So,
Open invitation, gentlemen.
Oh, open invitation.
Look,
Hey, give me a ticket to California.
We have multiple reasons to go already. You're just making it even more of a relevant thing for us to go do. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hear from some sponsors, and we'll come right back and dive right back in. What's going on, guys? I'm your man, Charlie Eblin, the owner of Single Tree Barbecue, located right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, 2805 Old Fort Parkway. We're open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 until 8 p.m. and on Sundays from 11 to 3. If you want some smoked wings all the way to some Texas-style smoked brisket, y'all come see us. We have some amazing lunch specials during the week and outstanding barbecue right here in the Middle Tennessee area. We can't wait to see you guys. All right, guys, welcome back to Single Tree Nation. As always, we have our illustrious co-host, Mr. Derry Wells, here with us today, joining us with an amazing story of resilience and opening his restaurant twice and simplifying things to make them better is what we've talked about. Our guest today, Mr. Douglas Keane, with the Cyrus restaurant out in Sonoma, and it's amazing to hear what you've done. And we were talking about keeping things simple prior. Doug, on our show, we have a segment that's a this or that segment, okay, and we call it Mac or Beans. So the reason we call it Mac or Beans is I own a barbecue restaurant, and every time you go into a barbecue joint, you're either going to get the mac and cheese as a side item or you're going to get the beans as a side item, right? So when you walk into a barbecue joint, do you go for the mac and cheese or do you go for the beans?
It depends. There's so many bad versions of mac and cheese, but when they get it right, it's magical. So if I don't know, I'm going with the beans.
Gotcha.
It's like the one aunt who brings mac and cheese for the first time to the family gathering. Like, who did this? She was supposed to be off the list.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
broke that roux. She burnt the crispy cheese. Like, yeah.
I
Yeah.
found 4 boxes of Blue Craft in the trash can. I know it was her.
It's funny. When I started my company, being a barbecue joint, you have to have a great mac and cheese. If you don't have a great mac and cheese in the Southeast, you're in trouble. And so we have about 3 different versions of my mac and cheese, and it is finally settled on what I think is a pretty darn good one. But
Then you just made the answer easy for me. When I come in, I'm going mac and cheese.
there you go. Well, you were welcome anytime you want to, my friend. You come on over. We'll have a good time. So along with that, do you have, it looked like you were going to.
No, you go right ahead.
Along with that, being someone that has been on both sides of the country, and from a cuisine standpoint, do you find that the East Coast or the West Coast has a larger palette of cuisine, meaning a more diverse palette of cuisine?
When I started cooking, when I left Cornell, went to Manhattan, and was there for my 6 years or so, there was no place in the country like New York City. There was second to it was so far above any place. San Francisco was like a very, very distant second in the country. And it was much ego and intensity and great ingredients. There was better product out here on the West Coast by far. Not the seafood, but the produce speaking, and meat and dairy. But there wasn't anything being done. Everyone was kind of bowing to this Alice Walters altar where they like were afraid to do anything but like slice the tomato and put salt on it and sprinkle a great olive oil on it, which God bless for what she did. But all of San Francisco was afraid to like take that tomato and puree it and strain it and make a tomato water and reduce it down and do something cool, where when you spend $100 for dinner, you deserve to have something besides what like a trip to the farmer's market and a chef's knife can give you. But that has changed. San Francisco is like one of and LA, actually, I will say, the technique, the drive to push, the drive to innovate, and on top of the ingredients, I think there's no place to beat in San Francisco and LA. Not to say New York's not incredible still, but the product is just so much better out here, and there's so much more innovation, I think, than when I first started. Everyone was doing crispy chicken with Hobbs bacon and fingerling potatoes when I came out here. Every damn restaurant had it on there. It was good, but it was like, really? Like everyone had like a meeting and said, okay, this is the chicken dish for the next 2 years. It was frustrating, but then this area is so incredible and so many talented people. So I would say the West Coast is stronger than the East Coast, but it's merely just the ingredients are so much better.
Gotcha. When you mentioned earlier, like it takes you forever to change an item on your menu, right?
Yeah.
So how with that? Because I have similar issues. So you get something where you think it's right, and sometimes our egos get in the way to see what is real, right, versus what we believe. So how do you stay abreast and innovate and stay on the forefront to stay relevant on new items and changing your menu to what is on trend for today in the culinary world?
Yeah, it's very different how it's evolved for me. I used to churn out ideas daily, if not weekly, multiples, and would test them out and get them to a place pretty quickly where they could go on the menu. And I would run them by a few trusted people. Two of them are still with me, Drew and Nick. Now that I'm in my 50s, I am not as creative as I used to be. It just doesn't flow like it used to, right? So I'll get inspired by a dish or a plate or an ingredient or a season, and I'll come up with ideas, but it's not like it used to be. What has happened though is I've got like these 20 and 30-year-old people, these brilliant kids and young people in my kitchen who have all these stupid, amazing, awesome, bad, great ideas. And they want to create. They want to do their creative side. And so now I get to play editor. I'm like, hey, we got spot prawns coming in next week. Anyone got ideas? And they'll start throwing ideas and be like, work that, work it, man. And then they'll come back to me with taste. They're like, what do you think? I'm like, no. This is what's wrong with it. You got to keep pushing the heat or the acid or the salt. The texture's not right. And then it's such a rewarding process now. I would love them to push me out at some point, just let me taste for them at the end. And so that's how we do it. I also don't worry about, I'll repeat a dish. You asked earlier if there's any dishes that are still on. They're not at the moment, but I'll repeat a dish, no problem, because once you get it right, there's also people that like the guests don't really care about having different dishes. They don't come that often. Some of them like have the lobster dish that I've done and they like crave it and they want to know it's going to be there every time. And so once you get over yourself and say like, hey, like I don't have to change it just to change it to prove that I'm super creative. Like I just want to make something great and have them enjoy it. Then you kind of get to a really a peaceful place. And so that's kind of where I'm at. When there's a great idea that comes up and it's tweaked and it's perfect and it's better than the dish that we want to replace it with, man, it's going on. If it's a seasonal thing, I got tomatoes for a few more months, so we'll ride that pony as far as we can. But then at the end, it's like, all right, these got to go. We'll start making sure we got stuff that can replace it equally well.
It's outstanding.
You mentioned earlier about your concept of having fewer people, higher pay. Then you mentioned just now you got these younger folks in there that they are creative. All the juices are flowing. They're excited. With your concept being what it is, and with your kind of open expression to allow them to create and to be, fully licensed for creativity. What's your turnover like, and have you noticed that has helped with the consistency of the restaurant?
Yeah, I mean, our turnovers, we don't get people that leave. We've had to let a few people go, but we've been, we have one guy, Isaiah, who's brother of Matt, who works with us. He went back to school. He left. In the beginning, we had a couple people who jumped on ship just to open it. There's always those people who love to open restaurants. They love that high, and then they went. But our turnover has been really, really low. And it's because of that. It's because of the creativity, but it's also, I'm telling you, that 4-day work week and the democracy that we have as far as like everyone gets to say. And yeah, I got the final input. Like, yeah, I'm gonna, it's not going on the menu if I don't like it, but like, I also like Tracy Desjardins, who I worked for at Jardiniere, taught me so much about letting your ego go. I would not have a career if it wasn't for that woman. Like she had things in her life going on where she wanted to do other things and she wanted me to run the kitchen. She trusted me with it. And not only did she trust me with it, she told the entire world that I was doing it. So every critic knew I was there, every person in the press knew I was there, and I got to be known for it. And that would help me launch my career. And so I'm like, man, if this woman was able to step out of the way and give someone like a little bit of the spotlight, I've got no problem doing that. So that also helps. And my business partner Nick is the exact same way. We don't have a huge ego. We want people to thrive. Like I would love nothing better in like 4 or 5 years to like move down to Santa Barbara with my current girlfriend, hang out by the ocean and see this restaurant like thriving with these guys kicking butt. And I'm checking in on them and they're like, I'm like, we don't need you, chef. We're good, man. We're good. Come on up and test some stuff if you want. Like I'm okay with that. I want to see them take it to the next level because they're better than I was. They've had all the stuff that I had, but now they're even learning new things that I don't even understand. So like they're coming up with cool things, making things look more pretty than I could ever imagine, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to kind of see that come to fruition.
How much of that do you think technology is driving? We're sponsored by Toast. They're our primary technology sponsor with the restaurant and our podcast. How much of the technology in today's world do you think helps them drive that innovation and recipes and kind of hitting different notes with different kind of items?
I think I think it's a lot, and I think it should even be more. I think the use of technology allows you more time to actually be creative. So if you can use a combi oven, like a Rationale or whatever, to cook a perfect chawan mushi, 50 of them, by setting a program, and you don't have to ever think about it. If you can sous vide the perfect pork cheek or short rib or whatever it is, And that way that person doesn't have to watch it. They can focus on searing it or making the sauce perfect. If you can find a machine to flip something or a fryer to drop on its own, that gives you more time to actually be creative and to put a little more touches on the dish versus having to fit like stuff that can be perfectly done by a machine or by technology. I am so all for it because one, that machine's going to show up every day. And two, it allows you to actually pay people more and have less of them and treat them better and give them a better life. So I think it's huge, and I think the more we can focus on technology, the better to make this restaurant more profitable. I mean, one of the things COVID did, it just highlighted how dysfunctional this business is as far as a profit margin. No one had cash. 3%, 4% is an okay month, right? Like, well, there's no other business. And that's why it's hard to get investors for this business because they're like, basically, no, they're giving money away just to help people and get a table. If they knew they could make 25% like another industry, then shit, there'd be like a lot of young cooks that'd be able to get businesses like that deserve it versus like only the ones that get their names in the paper get the investors because people want to be associated with it because they know they're going to lose their money. At least they get a little ego play out of it. So the more technology that we can do, like my chocolate machine is pure technology. It cost me $50,000, but like that's less than an employee for the year. And that thing's going to hopefully work for 10 or 15 years minus some upkeep on it. And it gives the biggest wow factor ever when you walk in and see 8 foot of flowing chocolate. Same thing with the combi ovens and the sous vide that I do. We have a oh God, what's the thing that whips and warms machine? We put our Billy Bee in it. We push the button, Thermomix, and it is perfect the entire time. We don't have to think about it. So that's one less person that doesn't have to heat up the pot, hit the hand blender, hit it with a little bit of butter to get the foam just right, just taste it for salt and lemon juice because it's been reducing on the pot all night. This stuff is poured into that machine, push a button, and when you're ready, zap it so it whips it, and then you pour 10 of them, and you're done. And then it's ready in an hour when the next 12 people come in. And it's like, that gives you time to innovate. That gives you time to do other cool things.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's outstanding. Look, I like asking people that have started from scratch, and you have started from scratch twice on your restaurant. What advice would you give someone that wants to start their own restaurant now, looking back on what you've done? And obviously you've won a James Beard Award, you're Michelin star, you have all the praise in the world, you top chef winner, like you are, from a chef standpoint and restaurateur standpoint, one of the masterminds of this industry. So what advice would you give somebody starting out today?
First of all, I'm so much better in theory than reality. So
see, there you go. Not letting your ego get in the way again.
Yeah.
You've got that down.
I love it.
There's a couple different angles I would try to advise someone to. One, just have a vision. Stay true to yourself. Like, so if you're trying to like be everything to everyone, you don't know what you want to actually be. It's just going to be kind of a hodgepodge. So if you're into making quesadillas, man, rock those quesadillas. Go open a quesadilla restaurant or a truck or your own business. Have passion, because this is going to be hard no matter how engineered you make it, how much technology you use, how many great people you find. It's just a hard business. Like, you're going to be working most nights. You're going to be working holidays and weekends. And so you better have some passion to get you through that, through that. From the business side of it, make it make sense. Spend time to actually get a good business plan so you know the realities. People say, I'm just going to go make great quesadillas, and it's going to be successful because people are going to buy my quesadillas. Well, if you don't know what those quesadillas are going to cost you, you don't know what your rent's going to cost you, or at least within a range of what the area is going to charge. You don't know what your other fixed costs are going to be. You don't know what payroll taxes are. You need to actually spend time doing the business. On top of that, I would say find people that will give you money now. Start talking to them. Find people who believe in you and ask them, would you support me when I'm ready to go? Half of them are going to say, all of them are going to say yes. Half of them are going to bail on you at some point. But ask and line those people up now so that when you're ready to go and you've got your business plan, you go back to them and half the people will say, yeah, here you go. Here's your 10,000, 20,000, whatever you need. Start finding those people now that believe in you, because money is what makes things happen, right? Like, you can't just go say, I want to open up a restaurant. You have to have money to do it. So that's going to be one of the things you have to be a little bit of a salesman. And a lot of cooks aren't great salesmen. We love to not be in front of people. We love to do our craft and do it. But if you're not a scientist, you're a salesman in some regard. And so we're actually salesmen.
Yeah, that is excellent advice. I wish I probably would have done a few more of those, to say the least.
I had a great mentor who walked me through everything, not only from where to go to school, what jobs to take. He broke up with girlfriends with me for me at the right time. Said, all right, time to move on. And he told me the questions to ask. He also said, by the way, you're going to learn more from the assholes than you are the good people. And for the most part, that was true. Yeah.
Golly,
yeah, that was true for the most
Somebody
part.
write that down.
Yeah. I've definitely learned
Sometimes
way more
you find the people like Tracy Desjardins, who was one of the good people, who you're like, thank God I found someone like her too.
Yeah. Yeah. I have two people. When you say that, I have two people in mind. And one of them is just an incredible human being that just taught me everything there is to teach me about leadership and growth and helping others. And one taught me just as much about leadership and development and helping others without doing any of that. Right. Yep. So I completely get
Here's
it.
what not to do.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes, for sure.
Totally, man.
Yeah. Derry, you got a Friday feel good for us?
I do. It's a quote that I came across this weekend. I think I shared it with you, and it really, along with what Douglas has said with just ego. And I forget who the quote is by, so forgive me on that part, but raise your words, not your volume. Flowers are watered with the rain, not with the thunder. And that has just really been sitting on me. I got a new school year coming up. I want to try to not be as loud. Now, somewhat I have to. My machines are loud, but I'm going to try to talk to folks. But it puts that ego in check, that you're going to have to figure out how to communicate better and not just be a bull in the china shop. So y'all know what to do. Find somebody you know, tell them you love them.
It's a good one. I love it. And Douglas, you talked about you have written a book, correct?
Yes, sir.
What's the name of your book?
It's called Culinary Leverage: A Journey Through the Heat. It's a memoir.
Okay.
It's more of a essay on the industry through my eyes, through the dysfunction of it, through how I fell in love with it, how it kind of changed, in my opinion, from being about hospitality, taking care of other people, to more about stars and awards and accolades, and versus just getting back to the basics of loving who you're cooking for and loving who you're working with. And it's a story about healing wildly, hopefully, and maybe a path forward with the new model. And like a little bit of redemption, like from a place where I was pretty broken. First chapter's a little intense, probably my darkest moments, to a point where the last chapter is this new Cyrus getting launched and how I kind of got there.
I love that. Where can people find a copy of your book?
It's Barnes and Noble. It's on Amazon. It's on our website at the restaurant. I'll even sign it if they order it through there. Anywhere you can, like Goodreads. It's all over the place.
It's available everywhere. I love it. Outstanding. Yeah. And if people are trying to find Cyrus and they want to come see you in person and have dinner, how can they do that?
CyrusRestaurant.com. You can book it on Talk right now. Come out and see us. I'm there. Everyone comes in through the kitchen. So we'll get to spend some time together. So it's CyrusRestaurant.com. I also have ChefDouglasKeane.com. I'm on Instagram as well at Douglas Keane. Reach out, say hi.
I love it. Look, Douglas, I really appreciate you joining us today. We loved hearing your story. We loved hearing about Cyrus, the book, your time in New York, and all around. It's been incredible. If there's anything we can ever do for you, please let us know. Guys, you know what to do. If you want to get involved with us here on the show, please feel free to reach out to me at charlie@singletreebbq.com. You can give me a call at 615-307-0120. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the show. And until next time, guys, we'll see you then.
Y'all be good.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us today. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, leave us a 5-star review and come see us at the restaurant.